Hey YouTube, Keegan here, and today I want to share the two ways that I make coffee in the morning. A longer way that produces a beautiful cup of coffee, and a really quick, short way with the Keurig. Both of these techniques use whole beans, so I'll show you how you can use whole beans with the Keurig. Both of these methods are also zero waste, so there's no paper, there's no Keurig cups, there's no waste at all besides the coffee grounds, which you can compost, which is what I do. Got my composter back here. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now there's really only two ingredients in coffee if you think about it, beans and water. So you want to make sure both of these ingredients are really high quality. My favorite beans are these ones from Stumptown. This is the 100 Mile Jam and Toffee organic coffee from Stumptown. These beans are really delicious. And for water, make sure you use soft filtered water. Don't use tap water. I use the filtered water from my refrigerator. Like I said, I'm going to talk about two methods to brewing a great cup of coffee. My wife doesn't drink coffee, so in the morning, I only make coffee for myself, and so both of these are great options if you're just making coffee for yourself or a small number of people. I'm going to be making a single cup in each brew. Let's start off with the easy method with the Keurig here. So I'm just going to move the rest of this stuff to the side. Alright, swing this around. So like I mentioned, both of these methods use whole beans. Again, I'm going to be using these whole beans from Stumptown. You can order these on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can even set it up as a subscription so that they'll just get mailed to you on a periodic basis. So I have a bag of these beans delivered to me every month. When I get them, I keep them in this bean container. This is an airtight bean container. I'll leave a link to all these things in the description below. Also comes with a nice scoop. So when I get the beans, I put them in here for safekeeping. Once you have your whole beans, you're gonna need to grind them. I use this Mick coffee grinder. So I just put my beans in here and then grind them up. So if you know about Keurig, you know about the coffee pods. And these are just terrible for the environment because they're single use, complicated plastics and materials that aren't going to break down for hundreds of years, and you just use them once and you throw it away. So a way better option, and an option that lets you use your own beans, is this Keurig Reusable Cup, and this is officially sold by Keurig, so it's going to work with all your Keurig coffee makers. I'll leave a link to this in the description below, and so you just twist the top off like that. So then I use my scoop and my coffee grounds. Pour out a scoop of coffee, then put the lid back on, twist it, then you open up your Keurig, put it in, pop it down, and you brew your cup of coffee. This is a really quick option. You can grind the beans, put them in the reusable cup, put them in the Keurig, and have a cup of coffee in under a minute. All right, now let's talk about the second option and the way that I mostly brew coffee every morning. So the second option is going to be a French press option, and the name is actually really deceiving. It turns out I was using a French press wrong the first couple of times I brewed a cup of coffee this way. You're not actually supposed to press down on a French press, but let me walk through all the steps. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So with a French press, you're gonna need a kettle for hot water, and you're going to need a French press, of course. I'll leave a link to both of these options in the description below. This kettle I've been really happy with. It's fairly inexpensive, especially compared to other kettles with similar features. It has timers and a dial at the bottom where you can actually adjust the temperature to 1 degree increments so you can get a perfect brew. The other thing you're going to need is a spoon and a little plate to put the coffee grounds on while you're going through the process. I found a tablespoon works really well for scooping out the coffee grounds, but again, I'll walk through this more as we go through the steps. So that's the equipment. Then of course, what we also need is some water. So I'm going to start off by pouring the water into my kettle, and then we just wait for that to heat up. All right, so we're almost at the right temperature. So while that is still heating up, I'm gonna take the top off of my French press, then grab my scoop and get some fresh coffee grounds. Since I'm only making 1 cup of coffee for myself, I'm just gonna do 1 scoop into the French press. We are ready to pour. And so then just pour the hot water into your French press. I'm gonna go up to 10 ounces, which is the amount of coffee I drink in a cup. And then we're gonna do nothing with this for about 4 minutes. So I set a timer on my Apple Watch. This is part of my morning routine. So I wake up, start the kettle first thing, and I usually go get the newspaper, and then it's hot enough that I pour it into the French press, pour the water in with the coffee grounds, go about my day, feed the dogs, check Twitter and Instagram, and in about 4 minutes, come back and we'll be ready for step 2. Timer done. We are ready for step 2 of the French press process. As your coffee brews, there's going to be coffee grounds that sink to the bottom. There's going to be coffee grounds that build up at the top called the crust. And what we want to do is stir the crust so that we get more coffee grounds that sink down to the bottom. And anything that's just kind of like the bean shell, doesn't have any flavor, is going to stay floating at the top. And so you can take your spoon, and I really like a tablespoon. It has a nice cup. And so it really lets you get in there and scoop out, kind of run it along the side, let the water drain out, and scoop out those beans at the top. And we're just gonna put them on a little plate. And so you don't have to get all of them. French press is gonna filter most of this out, but it just helps with the brewing process. Now, we still aren't ready to drink this yet. We wanna let it sit for another 5 minutes. So this is a pretty long brewing process, but the flavor of this brew is incredible. It's my favorite way to brew coffee. It also is not that intensive. It takes a long time for all of the in-between steps, but as you can see, it's really just putting the beans in, putting the water in, scooping out the crust at the top, and you're really just letting it sit for a while. So there's plenty of time in your morning routine to go and do other things. And again, setting a timer on my Apple Watch. And when that goes off, this will be ready to drink. Also in this step, you can put the French press top right on. So that'll keep in some of the heat, keep the brew going nice. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the name French press is actually pretty deceiving. You don't actually want to push this plunger down. So I just want to put it in, leave it there, and it's just going to act as a filter when I pour this coffee out later. All right, second timer done. We are finally ready to enjoy our French press coffee. Grab your favorite mug. This is my friend's mug from his clothing company, Gustfront. Check him out, leave a link in the description below. This is a limited edition cup, so one of my favorites. And so pour your French press. Again, don't press the plunger down. It's just gonna act as a filter for the coffee grounds that are still in there. And there you have it. Beautiful cup of freshly brewed French press coffee. That's good. It's so smooth. This brewing process creates such a smooth cup of coffee. No grounds in it, no sludge. It just tastes very clean, tastes fantastic. Well, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed these 2 brewing methods for 2 great cups of coffee with 0 waste. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more content like this. Cover tech reviews, productivity tips, morning routines. Hope you enjoyed this look into one of the most important parts of my morning routine, and I hope that it helps you brew a better cup of coffee. Have a great morning. Peace.